It's a Friday. It's the end of a long week. It's been a weird one, but you're here for another edition of Anytime with Ken and Alden. I'm Ken, that young guy. That there's Alden.
Hello. It sounded like you were about to introduce the Road Warriors, and then something bad happened.
What a rush! Well,
It's the best. It's still the best. Yeah. How are you, man? I saw you last night, but every time it feels like a long time.
Oh yeah! Shout out to you and Jared the Dark Jedi for popping into Anytime. That's what I love with not popping into the blathering, but it felt like an Anytime. But pop it in. I love that. It's a crazy call-in radio show, and it was great. And people still, even after you left, people still talking about that bathrobe, shirtless. You claim tank top, but shirtless look you had going on.
Look, sometimes it's a new year for me. I had a birthday earlier this week, which already feels like forever ago.
That's right.
So this is the first 29-year-old Alden episode. I know everyone in the chat shocked. I'm the ripe old age of 29. I know that's such a huge difference from 28. And yeah,
it is.
So maybe I'll try the shirtless now. Look,
we got a special guest we're going to bring in real soon here. It's going to be a fun episode. We'll explain what's going on. But I will say this. Yeah, look, I get it. It's easy to look at you and go, oh, then you feel so old. You're only 29. But I have friends who are like 64 going, Ken, you're so young at 48. It's just the nature of it. But 29 is big. 30 is big. I don't think you should run away from that. And you should. I want you to do next year this time, Alden. I want you to do what I did on my MySpace page, which is I took a picture at 29. I took a picture a minute later at 30, and I posted them on my MySpace profile. Okay, I want you to document that.
I will absolutely document that and steal that bit, because this is the long march now to 30. This is the last year of my 20s. So far, we're off to a, I would say, lukewarm start. The rest of the week was pretty ass, not going to lie. The rest of the week kind of sucked. Outside of the culture around Luigi Mangione, everybody's new American side character. One of the greatest folkloric characters we've come up with in quite a long time.
It's something. It's something. And the story goes on. And I don't even want to say I have sides or non-sides. I'm a slightly removed from the story because it's amazing, all the parts of it and all the aspects and all the think pieces that should and can come out of it. Right. Yeah. Even today, the CEO of the parent company coming out and like saying some nice things about the guy. Got it. I expect that. Got it. Not a problem with that. Husband and father, but like also kind of saying, things are effed up. Yeah, we understand. No, he didn't offer any answers, everything. But I was surprised that even that was acknowledged. It's just weird postscripts everywhere around this story.
Well, for sure. I mean, it's wild. Luigi hats doing gangbusters on Amazon. The symbolism, the not even manifesto. It's really more of a letter, but manifesto makes them sound crazier. So that's the word we're going to use. Right. Just all of these elements. The prisoners being loud enough on the news that you can hear them yelling "Free Luigi" and trying to expose that his conditions are really bad. Like it is a cultural moment, and we're not doing a whole show about it. But I will just say, been thinking a lot about like the trial that we're about to see. Probably going to take a long time to get it organized. Right. But it's like, he's guilty. So it's like, whoever defends him, you have an opportunity here. You're not defending Luigi. You're prosecuting healthcare. And that is because you can't undo what's been done. We saw it. We all saw it. But it was there. You can literally go up there and say, look, yes, his action is extreme. But who's the real monster here? Who's the real? And find me 12 people for an unbiased jury of his peers that don't hate healthcare. It's going to be fascinating.
I saw you retweet, repost, or reskeet, or whatever we're calling it. Elliot from Internet Today. Love Internet Today. Ricky and Elliot, watch their show, folks. He had put something about like, good luck finding 12 people that don't have health insurance problems. Yeah. You know what it is? Alden, you're talking about the plot of Young Guns 2. Once again, Young Guns 2 proves to be the greatest film of all time. We know what Billy the Kid did, but it just matters of what you think about it.
Yeah. No, you're so right, and it's like everything is about how the idea becomes bigger than the man, and just like all this stuff, and it already is, and yeah, it's fascinating, and nobody can tell me after the anesthesia thing got walked back, and the I forget the name of the other company, but they forgave like a bunch of medical debt like yesterday for a bunch of people in North Carolina, like
Right.
come on now.
And then, yeah, I agree with those. Nick Alden, you just pitched a movie. He's not defending his client. He's prosecuting healthcare. And Steve says, someone said something about someone shooting someone on Fifth Avenue and not losing support. I'm not familiar with NY, but it seems close enough to me.
Wonder
So
if
yeah,
that was true.
That's kind of my thought. And I had a tough week too. A job situation that was like gone, but maybe not gone. And then I had this absolute, maybe there is a God miracle thing that saved me for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And it just stresses you out. I'm just like, but I'm also like motivated. I'm like, I'm going to wake up every day and I'm going to work and I'm going to build my empire and we're going to do this. And I'm inspired by friends in my life. I'm inspired by watching Grace do it every day. Inspired by my Chihuahua waking up every day. But I'm exhausted too. So part of that reason, and I'm sorry, I feel I'm dominating the talk here. I'll hand over the talk and stick to you a second. But we have comfort food coming today. We have a special guest we're going to bring in just a minute. He's the author. I feel like I'm Regis Philbin. He's the author of the book. Comfort Food Mashup Cookbook. Dan Whalen. He's got so many. I can't even bring all his book. Tots. Look at this book, the Comfort Food Mashup. You pick a page. Look at this. Lasagna tacos. Lasagna tacos. You pick a page. There's something amazing in here. He's going to be on the show in just a minute. And all through today, he's going to be cooking comfort foods. And we're going to talk about food, Alden, being a needed comfort sometimes.
Oh, it absolutely is a needed comfort. And the amount that I want it and the amount that I consume directly correlates to how depressed I am. I'm one of those people. So it's like, I've never done hard drugs, never smoked a cigarette in my life, but so help me. I will inhale a box of Little Debbie's. I will devour a box of cereal. Like it's just reality. I've always struggled with weight. This is my cross. Yeah. But today I'm going all in with whatever Dan has created. I have implicit trust in Dan. You look at anything that he's made and you're like, yeah, immediately. There's not a second of doubt.
Yeah, I met Dan a few years ago. We were joking off air a few years ago. It's actually like pre-pandemic. He was a guest on Force Center. We did a Star Wars ranked on like our favorite Star Wars meals. And we're going to do an updated one because there's so many more meals to choose from. But let's bring him in now. Dan Whalen, he has a blog called The Food in My Beard. You should go there, thefoodinmybeard.com. And Dan, welcome to the show, my friend.
All right. Thanks for having me. This is really fun. I love the Young Guns too because when I asked these guys what food from movies they liked, Ken's response was something from Young Guns too, which you both were very predictable with your responses. Like Alden, I knew he would have trouble choosing one, so he had to choose three different ones.
It's so true. I'm such a fucking I'm like a stereotype of myself.
You asked us, Dan. You asked these questions. I'm gonna post these questions verbally here. For oh gosh, where did I put that those questions? Did I put it in another? Gosh, Ken, get your emails all right. Get your emails.
Make sure you're in Ken Knapsack.
Oh, here it is. I got it. All right. This is for the audience at home here. You know what? I can do? I can just copy. This is why we don't produce the show, right? We just go for it. Here's the questions. Favorite get-together appetizer. Favorite thing to cook yourself. Favorite thing to order at a restaurant, favorite comfort food, favorite food scene in a movie or show, and food or ingredient you hate.
The hate one is going to, of course, cause the comments to explode. So we can all say are we going to say our answers or throughout the show? Yeah. Or do you Dan do you want to tell us?
Well, so the premise of even just me asking you was like, so what am I going to make today, right?
Yeah.
And my first rejected idea was because of Ken's Young Guns reference was the garlic bread from Smokehouse that you guys are always talking about, and then just pour beans on top of it.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Oh, you're right. I could do this on my own. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That was. We'll start. Let's start with that. And I want people in chat. I copy and pasted the questions in the chat, and it just looks like one AI written sentence.
Did not respect your formatting at all.
It did not respect my formatting. We can bring it up. But yeah, Dan had asked that, and our favorite TV show, favorite food scene in a movie or TV show. What did you answer, Alden?
Okay, so I don't remember the order I put them in, but one of them was in Jon Favreau's Chef, when him and Scarlett Johansson plays Molly. They're smoking weed together, and it's implied that they've slept together before, and she says, "We can't do that again." And he says, "Well, let me cook for you." And then he makes her pasta. It is the hottest thing I've ever seen in a movie. Like, Jon Favreau gives like credence and respect to the big nerds, the big dudes. Like, he's making that pasta. Scarlett Johansson's on the bed, and I'm like, life's good. So that was my first answer.
It's a good one. It's a good one. Dan, analyze that food scene.
Yeah, well, that it's one of the most beautifully shot food scenes, I would say. But
how do you as a I don't even want to say foodie is not the right term for you, but as a chef, a cook, a food guy, a food expert, but also just you support foods of the working folk, the nachos, the tacos, the bar food. How do you feel about movies like that? And you seem to have your own internal measuring stick for how a food scene is shot.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it depends on what movie. I love that movie. And also I've been a little less like just into keeping up with the food movie scene in general. I mean, back when I started, when I started blogging, the big food movie was Big Night. Have you guys seen that movie?
I actually haven't seen that. No.
It's
know of it, but didn't see it yet.
Yeah, it's like two Italian brothers, and they're like, they have this restaurant in New York, and they're trying to make it work, and they get word that Louis Prima is gonna come to their restaurant, and so they're like, we have to pull out all the stops. This is gonna be the best night. It's gonna save our restaurant. It's really about like the relationships with the brothers. I want to say it's that I can't think of his name. I don't know any actors' names, but anyways, it's you
were like, that's not what I'm focused on. All right,
yeah,
I'm focused on other stuff.
And the big food scene in that is, I mean, the big meal is like they make this thing called the timpano, which is pasta. Stanley Tucci. That's
Stanley Tucci's in
it. A big thing of pasta that's baked in like a pastry and comes out like in a big drum, and they cut it at the table. But the big scene in that movie is really the morning after the one brother makes an omelet for the other brother. And it's similar to that Scarlett Johansson scene. Yeah, it's like it's showing his like real affection for his brother. We fought last night, blah blah blah. We didn't, whatever. Yeah. But here's me like putting all this work to make you an omelet.
Like food in lieu of the apology, food in lieu of sex, food like saying the thing that isn't said. I think is really fascinating, and that's why like people love, of course, the ending of Ratatouille because of childhood. I put the scene from Pig on there, which a lot of people haven't seen, but it's amazing, and it is like his ultimate fight back. Nicolas Cage's character is to cook this evil guy a meal from the good days. It's fascinating.
A lot of people will say Goodfellas when they're in prison and they're slicing the garlic and making sauce. I know in the Chef TV show, Roy Choi mentions that scene a lot.
I love Roy Choi. And look, it's not my answer, but I do, every time I think of the menu, I absolutely want to go get a cheeseburger from some stand on the side of the road. Yeah. And
the ending of the menu is
Ray Fiennes going, a cheeseburger. It's just so weird.
And the brilliance of that is when the menu came out, I remember talking about it with friends and saying, you guys realize that this is the sinister version of the ending of Ratatouille? Like, it does the same thing of like, let's make the thing that sends him back to when life was pure, but a horror movie.
A horror movie. You guys got some great stuff. Chat it up as we talk about food and other things today as well. Dan's going to come in on the show. And as you know, Dan, you watch us. We go a lot of different places all at once here. But I do want to talk to you as someone. I mean, I'm just adding descriptions to your work that maybe aren't necessarily true in your heart, but you're dealing in comfort foods. You're dealing in these things, and we're talking, and it's important. And look, eat comfort food in moderation, exercise regularly, do all the things that the health insurance industry wants you to do. Okay, they're trusted. But what's your background with food cooking, and is this something a direction you always went to, or are you Ray Fiennes? Just instead of killing people, you were like, wait, I'm going to go deal in cheeseburgers the rest of my life. Like, and there's when you hear comfort food, there could be a stigma around it, but you seem to be fighting through it.
Right. Yeah, I didn't cook growing up. No, I wasn't interested in it. I was in like an Italian American big family, and so the guys weren't in the kitchen, right? The women were in the kitchen,
right.
The guys were not. So I loved good food, loved like lasagna, chicken parm, all that stuff. When I went to college, everyone loved the cafeteria, and I was like, what are you guys talking about? Like, this isn't that good. So I started to be like, okay, like maybe I'll make tacos for my friends, and I would just like buy the kit and make tacos, and we all had a good time. But that really just got me going, like, I really love doing this. Maybe I'll add my own twist to it next time. Maybe I'll make this part homemade. Maybe I'll make this part homemade. And I just loved the idea of like us all getting together by the time we had kitchens, which was like junior year or something. I was in school for computer science. Wow. And me and my friend had like a comic blog. Like we were just like, we would draw comics, we would make little video games. And after we left, I was like, I kind of was putting some pictures of food up, and a friend of mine said, you should make this separate, call it The Food of My Beard. I bought the domain that day, and that was 2008.
Wow. Look, find your passions, work hard at it. It's not, I really respect it and have enjoyed your work for a while. Again, these sit on my shelf. I'm reconnecting. I was one of those pandemic cookers. I dabbled before, but really got into it, and then kind of money, time, and you kind of pull away. But I was looking at your stuff today. I'm like, look at this. BLT steamed sliders. Get out of here. BLT Genius. Steamed bun sliders. Like, come on. Dan, you're a legend.
I want to say I inspired by your answers and what I'm making today. So inspired by mozzarella sticks was, I think, Alden's favorite app.
My appetizer, yeah.
Mac and cheese, Ken's comfort food.
Oh, yeah.
Pesto and pasta and chips and guac. Those four things. So I'm going to do basically like a mac and cheese stick coated in tortilla chips, fried, and served with guacamole and pesto. We'll get a double dipper situation here.
I feel like I'm in Star Wars. Is that legal? like I can't even imagine.
Legal. Look, here's the thing. I don't want to dox Dan, but Alden, you live closer to him, so you can be by his house dinner time.
I can pick one of these up in probably 4 or 5 hours. Yeah, maybe 6.
Holy crap! Yeah, Coop said, "Oh my god."
Oh, so the one thing I need before I start, also from you guys and chat, is should these be in the shape of a mozzarella stick or should they be triangles? We don't need to fully commit yet, but should I cut them into triangles like they're chips, or should I cut them into a mozzarella stick shape?
Ooh, this is a great question. Where do you lean, Alden?
I am leaning to the triangle because when you go to a restaurant and the mozzarella stick is a wide boy or a triangle, it's very exciting. That's all. You're always like, ooh, a shape.
We got 2 in for the triangles. Ooh, a shape. I like Lauren Roma goes, you're allowed to put those foods together? Like, what is going on? Dan is playing with the balance of creation itself. Look, I'm always down for food in stick form. That's why I eat mostly, at gas stations. I like foods on sticks, meats on sticks. It goes into the mouth easy, giggity. I love it. But I agree with you. There's something when, especially if mac and cheese involved, when a triangle shows up, you're right. It's primal. You're just like, ooh,
yeah,
I can get that all in one bite.
That's so true. It's so
Coop
true.
says, Dad might be God. You think you're New Mexico?
Very
well, by God, I am New Mexico. And my answer of favorite food scene in a movie or show is in Young Guns 2. No joke. Towards the beginning of the film, Billy Kid has escaped. He goes back to his little village where he thinks he's safe and hiding out, but he's in a pig pen. And Pat Garrett, who will eventually turn on him, shows up and gives Billy a plate of food. And it is this like old 1882 tin with a big spoon, and it's got like bread and beans. And me and my friend Paul for years, like that's like our favorite meal. We've always wanted, because he eats it with such love and gusto, just beans and bread in the Old West. And that's my favorite scene and I love Chef. I love a lot of the other films we're talking about. I love food movies. God, I don't know. It's just that. So it's comfort. You know why? Because it's comfort.
Fantastic. Dan, can I ask you a quick question just before we dive in? Just because I'm curious about it and your journey and like touching on the entertainment scenes and all that. The last thing I noted in the email in terms of scenes was from The Bear, which of course a lot of people love. Ken hasn't seen it yet, but how has the meteoric rise of The Bear changed your world? Because I noted the cannoli, like naming the cannoli after John Berthel's character Michael and how touching that is. But like it has probably, at least in my time, like of being aware, caused the biggest like I'm interested in food now rush out of anything that has come out. So like, do you find that like are people like in your family asking you like, can you make that? Can you make that?
I mean, I think. First of all, I love that show, but I have trouble watching it. It's just so stressful.
It is very.
It's like so stressful. So we're only about 2.5. I think we have like 4 episodes of the most recent season where we're just like, let's put a pause on.
Sure.
When I say we, I mean my wife and I. We usually watch these shows together.
Sure.
But anyways, point is, I think that's more about like people going to restaurants. And I think I love that it maybe has brought people more into the idea of trying like a fine dining type place. But
he's
it's
not just
tough.
about cheese sticks, folks.
Yeah. I mean,
man's got it all up here.
I think what brings people to cooking is like, I mean, the pandemic was when everyone was cooking. Obviously, they had to cook. The economy goes up and down, so like people are more inclined to cook themselves. Right now, the cost of groceries is like such a hot button item, even though there's maybe questionable evidence of if it really is really has gone up as much as people think,
or what's causing it.
Yes, exactly.
Or who.
So I would say the show is more like, to me, in my world and how it's affected me, more just like memes and like people. There has been a few things I wanted to make inspired by the show, but the weird thing is when I watch, I'm just like, I just try to enjoy, shut my brain off, you know? Like sometimes when I watch a Star Wars show and there's food, I'm like making this thing immediately. And the first episode of The Acolyte where in the background, there's like a noodle Ferris wheel. And I was like, I would like to go to this place that has a noodle Ferris wheel.
I gotta mention sometimes too, you know, you're off duty. It's like when I'm at a party and someone's like, Ken, what do you think about Star Wars? Nah, I'm off duty. There's gotta be times where you're like, nah, I'm just a citizen. I'm a private citizen, not a chef, not a cook right now.
Citizen.
All right. So Dan, you're gonna get going on cooking this, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna I don't want it to be too loud, so I'll just be here. Maybe quietly cooking away.
And we'll keep checking in with Dan. Go ahead.
Just a quick rundown of what I'm doing in case people are curious. So I'm going to make the mac and cheese. It's the super, super easy, sort of trashy mac and cheese. There's like condensed milk and cornstarch and cheese, and it's just going to melt together and be very thick. I'm going to let that sit, but I also made this last night. So the magic of a segment. We'll pull out the one I made last night, and it's flat and it's solid. So I can cut it into the I think we're triangles, by the way.
Oh, we are triangles.
Yeah.
We're triangles. Can you repeat those cooking instructions, but slower and with the lights lower, just whisper it?
Just like
before he gets to cooking though. Yeah, there you go. Dad, I do have to ask this. Tachos.
Yes.
Nacho tots. What drug were you on in the desert when you came up with this wonderful creation?
I can't lay claim to the whole premise of tachos, but I do feel like the popularity of tachos is really what sort of sprung that book forward.
Oh, yeah, you're right. This is it. The dish that started the tot renaissance. The Totassance. Oh my God. Pick up this book, folks. Tots.
Can I hire you for my
totally
audiobook?
awesome. Yes. Please do. My rates are very reasonable.
Yeah, I don't think they make audio cookbooks.
They should.
Not yet.
Not yet. They don't yet. All right, so I'm going to drop you out for a second, Dan, while you get going, and then we'll bring you back in just a second. Dan Whalen's here from Food and My Beer. This is something we want to work on for the holidays, Alden, because, Joe Biden's pardoning some people, but not everyone, so let's have tots. Or mac.
Yeah, like this is our way of addressing that Joe Biden is also on the thumbnail for today's episode. And in reality, that's because it just makes Ken happy.
I have decided, and look, I'll say I am a 70% to 30% fan of Sleepy Joe. I know your rate might be a lot lower. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. I do like Sleepy Joe. But once I got that PNG cut out, I was like, it's just missing ice cream, but this might show up in every thumbnail from now to the end of time.
He is, as I said to you in text, there's something about him that is extremely naturally funny, which was always the case during the Obama years and everything.
Yes.
But he's funny. That's why caricatures of him are so funny as opposed to other politicians. He's an interesting cat.
The Sudeikis years of Biden is what you're talking about.
The Sudeikis years are very funny. I've loved what Dana Carvey has done with him recently. He's a funny guy. He's a caricature in a lot of ways of an old man.
How do you? Dana Carvey has been in every episode of SNL this season.
Yeah, he's a cast member again.
I keep going.
But he's not in the intro.
Keep going back to this, man. They put him in, just do it. I don't know if there's. It's not like sports, and even with sports or pro wrestling, you retire, you get to come back. Yeah. It's not just Lovitz has walked on from a cameo. He's in the cast. Let's do it.
He has done now Biden. He's done Elon Musk. He brought back Church Lady for a whole opener. He's with a musical number.
If he brings back Head Wound Harry, he's in. Count this as his next season.
And they keep doing in the goodbyes. They keep thanking him like he's a guest. So maybe he's being paid as a guest. Maybe that's the thing.
Maybe Dana Carvey's Church Lady got soda to the Mets. Maybe true. Fascinating. A lot of things to talk about. I shared a little bit on the blathering yesterday. Can I share my experience of watching Bill Burr live at the Comedy Store last Friday?
Oh, please, because you texted me when it happened, and I didn't hear the full story. So yes.
Yeah. No, I was, because you can't really have your phones out. And in fact, later in Bill's set, someone was secretly taping him, and Bill got the guy walked out. The footage deleted, and he did it in a very nice way, but it was funny. Because this last week was the we hadn't caught this guy yet, the CEO assassin, Luigi Mangione. Which it's a fake name. It's a fake name. Come on.
Well, what's funny is that he gave a fake name on top of that. Yeah. So there was an even dumber name.
Yes. Mario a shoot 'em up like what are we doing here?
Mario shoot 'em up.
And I said this on Blather yesterday. I watched the full episode, but I'm going to say it here. I'll do the caveat. I don't agree with everything Bill Burr has said. I wish, we talked about it last week with Jeselnik, I wish Burr had a little bit more of a spiritual awakening where he clearly chose a side and he clearly maybe helps us in the culture war. But he's got the air of I'm a comic and it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to speak truths around all angles. And his SNL monologue I thought was a miss. And he had a couple in his set. He did about 20 minutes. He had a little bit of that monologue, but he had moved it out, and it actually was kind of better and funny because it leads to something against Elon Musk. And but anyways, walk in. There with Ellis. Ellis was on a 9 o'clock show, and we just kind of swung in through the main room and literally sat down. And Argus Hamilton's on stage, a legend, 48 years at the Comedy Store. And he literally is like, all right, special treat, Bill Burr. I've seen Bill Burr several times walk in at the Comedy Store, seen him live before.
Can I ask a quick question before you continue?
Yeah.
Sorry. In terms of surprises and drop-in culture, I've experienced it once at the Miami Improv when Seinfeld. It was a Brad Williams set. They slid Brad a note, and it was Seinfeld. What is the culture of drop-ins like? Do they call up the place and how does it work on Bill's end? How do you guys find out? Yeah, so sometimes sometimes there's like a hey, and there's been a couple years ago there was a rumor that
Eddie Murphy was going to drop by the Comedy Store, and we were trying to be there because that would have been historic. And I don't know if he did or not. I don't know. Remember? And look, last week, and I don't want to get in this conversation because I think she's broken and past the beyond the pale. But Roseanne was in the main room of the Comedy Store 2 nights ago. That's historic, and as a comic, that's historic. I'm not here to. We know
like
where
the
she's
amount
gone.
of time since she's done it.
It's
and
insane.
all that.
Her
Yeah.
her big picture from like the 80s is there. She hadn't been there in decades, and she was on stage. It's a tragedy because if she hadn't gone the way she is, she's one of the people that I think built modern era stand up. Different conversation.
She would have been celebrated. Yeah.
Yeah, the cultures. You'll know. Like I was Michael Richards dropped in the show. That's why I got to bring up Michael Richards one night. I got to go up right before Chris Rock. Thank God when he was practicing his Oscars. I've been there at the Improv when Dan Cook has popped in, and it's cool. You know, Louis Anderson, rest in peace. Like it is
Now
kind
for
of cool.
whoever is on, are they
can
told? Yeah.
Oh, if you're like
They're
on
told by
stage,
management, like if you're on and then say Ken's on and then Chris Rock shows up and do they like slide you a note or like?
they can. Like some places, you might hear the voice of God might say, or Burr going to the Comedy Store is normal. Like if he's in town, he's going to be there. Sometimes they bill him, sometimes they don't. This was more of a walk on. But it's fat, and then some people are a-holes about it. You know, they'll drop in and destroy your show. Eddie Griffin was famous for dropping in and doing 4 hours of comedy, and not leaving the stage. And I there was one comic. He's still active. I'll keep his name out. He kind of had a famous run in the early 2000s. He dropped on a show and did like 40 minutes. And bumped a lot of us up and comers, and he just had that like, what else should I talk about? I was like, get the hell off stage. Like,
yeah, I know Ellis told a great story once about Robin Williams showing up and doing like 2 hours with no microphone and things like that. So I'm sure sometimes it's great and sometimes it's horrible. I just wanted to know if there was a system, if there was a hierarchy and a
There's a hierarchy.
All right.
If someone's jumped. Anyways, so the point being, this assassination had just happened. It was in the news, and you and I were joking off air of like how many comics are going to try jokes on stage, and I was like, name a show, someone's doing it. Anyways, I don't want to repeat it because this past week Burr kind of was out there and getting some heat from certain sides because he was on a podcast, kind of saying the straight ahead, unfunny, jokey version of what he said at the Comedy Store. But it was the same stuff. Dude, I cannot tell you, I have never laughed harder at a bit live in person. He gets up on stage and just starts talking about it and then goes in this thing of like, we can't find this guy. And he's like, he can hide in my basement. These insurance companies, they're killers, all that stuff. And then he just goes, and you fucking Trumpers. And this is what you do. You keep voting for these guys. You think they're on your side. They're not. And then he goes into this, and then where are you gun owners? You dumb gun owners. He's like, you're pointing your guns at the wrong thing. Oh, you're so afraid of immigrants. Oh, and he goes in this wonderful side tangent of, 20 people in a room picking an almonds, and you think they're going to take your mansions from you, and you're so dumb about this. And then it goes into this detail. I can't go to all the details, but he's like, I think it's because these white CEOs are bleeping you up the ass, and I think you like it because you think maybe one day that can be you. And he's bringing the house down, and then he goes in this bit about he's like, by the way, they can't find this guy, but if he was brown, NYPD would know every detail from elementary school to now. It was I don't want to steal another company's bits, and I can't, but it just like it was so. And I was texting you like we were just talking about this today.
Yeah, we just said that, and we had just talked about Bill. So it's like we just talked about Bill Burr on the show. We were talking about comics doing it. It was like the universe was like, you want to see what that would be like? Here you go.
What it would be like. That's my thing.
Did the room respond, or was it just your table?
I saw Dan. I saw Dan doing some sexy stuff there. He brought the house down. It was like I said. I was guffawing. All right, Dan, update us there. What is going on there?
So you saw how quick that came together. You didn't CC, but like condensed milk, cornstarch, pasta, a little bit of the pasta cooking liquid, and the cheese. And I'm just gonna pour. I'm pouring this onto something, not on the ground.
For the audio listeners available on the Knapsack Network, Dan is pouring some mac and cheese slowly out of a pan into what I can only assume is his tabletop. There's no pan underneath it. Oh, there it is. It's a pan. and it poured out like a water. You ever seen the garbage burns at Yosemite back in the turn of the century, two centuries ago, where they'd burn trash and push it over the waterfall? Yeah, that's what it looked like.
That is such a specific reference. You know, at Yosemite when the trash.
No one else knows that. Has anyone been to Yosemite? Because they used to do it. The fire falls. And in Curry Village, there's a history of it, and like I forget the fall it is, Vernal or Nevada, or just maybe off of Glacier Point. Yeah, they burn the trash and then like push it down the mountain, and it would create a fire.
I just
waterfall.
love that, like in a reality where Ken is doing like food erotica, it's like, I want you to imagine Yosemite with the fire.
Yosemite, 1908. Campers at the Curry Village see a firefall. Fire, burning trash, rubbish, if you will, flows over the edge. Scotty says, what fucking insane.
Insane reference. Romo, now that is sexy. Talking about the mac and cheese. Coop, this might be the horniest episode of any time. It might be.
It is. All
right,
and also,
here, I'm going to grab the solid piece of mac and show you how it looks.
Okay.
But yeah, please. Guys, we're about to see the solid mac. This is a big moment in our day.
If you're just joining us here, Dan Whalen from The Food in My Beard is cooking some comfort food in the background while we talk about all things in life. Look at that. That looks like a Rice Krispie square, but it's mac and cheese.
Yes.
Oh,
Coop is right. I've never been more turned on.
So now I'm going to cut this into the triangles and get with the breading and stuff, but you guys.
So you actually got it. I would have thought you baked the bread and then you just stuff mac and cheese into the triangle. Build it around it, Alden. You build it around it. Anyways,
this is why he's a pro.
This is why he has the blog. Anyways, Alden, I wanted to say, like, I'm excited. You had to be there, but it's like, and we'll see if he takes a bit out. But it just was fun, and in this politically charged world, it was a nice moment to see someone with such power in the industry to just kind of go right at some things we wanted. And I wish he would do it more. But
Bill, you have described him to me, Bill Burr, as somebody who it's like he might play into like a gray Jedi stereotype, but when push comes to shove, he will fight with the Jedi. Like he will
a great
show
way
up.
to look at it.
Yeah.
No, that's a great way to look at it.
And honestly, his Star Wars character, Miggs Mayfeld, kind of had that moment of like, I've had enough. And then he just blows the guy away. Like, so,
But anyways, man, what else is on your mind as Dan cooks some comfort food that we definitely need? How heavy is the crown on the birthday for you?
My birthday feelings have altered dramatically over the past few years. I used to look forward to it. And then, I was in a long-term relationship, as you know, and you've been down this road too, where it's like you have a long-term relationship and then it ends and you reevaluate things. Like birthdays were always great because that person was like a big planner and very thoughtful and everything. And so it's like, that to me was like, this is what grown-up birthdays are. Right. And then that now in the single years, I've been like, oh, this is what birthdays are as an adult. Like, oh, I don't like this as much. And I haven't celebrated any of the last 4 of them. I went to the movies last year. This year, I just stayed in the house. And I had a brunch with my family, I should say. I did have a brunch with my family. So that was nice. But I don't do much.
I get it. Look, I know some years I'm a very lo-fi birthday guy. Some years it's like I'm turning 40, we're having 9 parties. It's also kind of how I am socially. I burn fast and bright and fade out for a couple weeks. Dan's got the little triangles ready. God bless you. Steve asked this question. So my point of that is, Alden, like I don't fault anyone for being a little lo-fi on their birthday. It's okay. Yeah. But Steve asks, Alden, what's your most memorable birthday so far? What happened?
Most memorable birthday so far. Interesting. It sucks that there's not an answer where I'm like, this was the greatest. I mean, like, look, 6 is up there. 6 was great.
6.
I got the six was awesome because I got the Harry Potter Nimbus 2000 broom that they recalled because it vibrated. So like you couldn't get that later. And like I had one of those brooms. I was running around like that was a great birthday.
The broom that accelerated sexual awakenings for many kids.
Yes, 16 was pretty cool because it was the only surprise one. So like my friends surprised me, and that was really sweet.
Sweet 16.
And that had never happened to me before. After that, 21 didn't matter to me because I was drinking before 21. So it's like I took the luster out of it.
You
I
sinner.
took the joy out of it. I did.
Sinner.
I sinned. Sorry,
Wow.
Mrs. Knapsack.
Well, she'll judge you.
And then, yeah, I mean, I had some sweet ones since. Everybody likes the attention. I think that's the other part of it too. Is that like it's nice to have a day outside of like I'm old and how you feel about yourself. You hear from people you don't normally hear from. Sometimes because they're full of shit and they just want to act like you're still cool, and that's part of it. But like the ones that are great are really great. Like you do hear some really sweet things, and like anyone that acts like that's not great is a liar. It is great.
Yeah, I have an old friend who embraces it fully. Where for most of the year, 364 days, she's rather antisocial and maybe even grouchy towards other people. But also on her birthday, she's like, "This is the day everyone has to be nice to me," and I believe them, and so I celebrate that.
Yeah, it's really really sweet. But other than that, yeah, I mean, it was just I had a little bit of it's the last year of my 20s. Oh my god, I think I wasted my 20s, and I had a lot of those thoughts like a day later that like crushed me, and I was really sad. But it'd be like that. We did Scotty's right, we did go back and watch behind the scenes mini documentaries from the last Kiss tour. I'm gonna count that as part of my birthday celebration for sure.
Well, Dan, let me ask you, because Alden's thought here of did I waste my 20s, and again, I am not here to poke fun at a younger person. Like these are big questions we face every 5 to 10 years. Dan, big birthdays for you. And also as someone who started out in life on another path, computer science, and found your passion later, and then maybe grew it even more after that. What's your thoughts on time wasted or making changes or digging in and building your future around birthdays?
I mean, you can't think that way, right?
Yeah.
You can't think like you wasted time. So I'm between you guys. I'm 41 right now.
Right.
I guess 40 was a good year. I had some friends go to a snowboard trip.
Nice.
Everyone lives in different.
So you're a cool person.
Corners of the country.
You're cool.
Cool person.
We couldn't do that.
But I often think so. 40. So I started the website when I was like 25, right? So there's various levels where I've like taken it seriously in different ways, and every year I'm like, now I'm doing this, and then a year later I'm like, what the hell was I doing a year ago? I mean, obviously, like I was getting paid as an influencer before the word influencer was a word, because they were, they're like, here's Mike's Hard Lemonade was probably my first campaign. Wow. I was not a fan at the time. I was really thinking I was like too cool, right? I'm like, I like IPAs. So what's this Mike's Hard Lemonade?
Yeah, right.
And but I embraced it, and I learned to like make cool recipes with it. I made like a blackberry Mike's Hard Lemonade ceviche or something, right?
Oh.
So anyways, I don't know. This might be a roundabout way of saying like I then was like, the future is an influencer, not in my blog. So I focused more on my social accounts and less on my website, because people aren't searching Mike's Hard Lemonade Blackberry Ceviche 10 years ago, but maybe they are now. So I didn't think I had the SEO juice on my website to be successful. And I thought I could never be the #1 recipe for like white people tacos, because like I told you earlier, that was like my passion of how I got started. Well, guess what? Who's the #1 recipe for white people tacos right now? I am.
Look at you.
Because, and I wasn't 2 years ago, because 2 years ago, I made this change where I'm like, I focused on the influencer side. It probably wasn't the right move for me. I probably should have been more focused on my website. And this year has been like a huge, the past 2 years, probably a huge change where I'm like, I can actually do all this at once. And one thing I always say to myself is, am I like compromising what makes me who I am to like play the dumb games? I realize that I can play the games like only a little bit, still be who I am, feed my website and feed my socials all at the same time. It was like kind of a big New Year's like resolution for me, I guess. And this year has been like hugely successful for my social accounts. And
if you weren't already married, I'm pretty sure you could pull based off of the clip that we could just grab out of this episode. Like, yeah, look at this guy. Look at how he's got it figured it out. He snowboards.
No. Just like I said, every year I think I have it figured out, and then the next year I realize that I didn't.
So we'll check in December 2025, and you'll be like, guys, I pivoted again.
But no, there's some great advice to that for life, and yeah, and I agree with look, Steve. Steve says, "Hey, don't worry. Once you're in your 30s, you're worried about so much else. You don't have time to ruminate on wasting your 20s." I get it, but it's a real feel. Oh, that was a great crack at the can. Charlie Ashby says, "SEO juice would be." I was going to say, drizzle a little SEO juice on those white people tacos. 10% SEO juice, 90% alcoholic seltzer. No, great stuff there. Great stuff indeed. Did I accidentally mute you, Alden, or did you mute yourself?
I muted myself because my lovely dog Mando had a little bit of a.
I figured I was like, did I just shut Alden off in his birthday conversation?
But there's lots of great advice in there for sure.
And look, Charlie did something I think all of us do, and we shouldn't. The Beatles did Abbey Road at 28 at the maximum, and I'm in bed thinking about pizza and how it hasn't arrived yet. Look, we all compare ourselves to the Beatles. They did Sgt. Pepper at an amazingly young age. You can't. You can only compare yourself. But it's look, I do it all the time with comics. I think of years wasted, not in terms of just like decades and everything, but my time in the businesses of one foot in, the other foot out. A lot of it because I think I can't accomplish what I want. I've been having this thing. My friend Scott gave me some unintentional advice that I was sent on my Monday morning podcast on the Knapsack Network feed. Check it out. About what do you want to give up? What are you willing to sacrifice? And that's not about, it's more internal. It's like when we hold on to things in our souls about, I'm a sad sack loser. That's kind of my brand. Well, that's going to be your brand. That's going to be the results. Yeah. That's the results. You have to be willing to give up that ego is malleable. And that's kind of heavy things to think about on your birthday when you should just be getting high and watching Kiss videos.
And rest assured, there was much rejoicing. There was much getting stoned, listening to Kiss, discussing the ins and outs of the future of the bands and all that. Playing video games and so there was a lot of chill stuff too.
Yeah, SNE says something. I really love change and growth, but also get super nostalgic goggles. Yeah, I do that and can get sucked into that. And I had an old friend I don't talk to anymore in my life. I was doing the whole I used to be at the Groundlings and write sketches with Mikey Day and Kristen Wiig, and she was just like, I don't want to hear it anymore. Either go back, do it again, or it was done. Build forward. So I'm with you, SNE. You're on. Yeah.
Star Wars in a Galaxy said it's also depressing when you look at Taylor Swift, Olivia Rodrigo, but Beyonce is 41, I think, 42, and she's making the whole music of her whole career right now.
Top of her game. Yeah, that's true. And sometimes it is a steady build. And look, I'm in my 40s now doing the best stuff. Sometimes, for as many stories as there are like Beatles or Chappell or anybody, there are also your Morgan Freemans that he didn't break until his 40s and things like that does happen as well. People that have their moments and everything that you love to see. I'm sure, I'm not a sports guy, but I'm sure sports fans have this a little bit worse in that way. I talked to our friend Nikki Kumar a lot about football, not American football, and how so many of his favorite players are 6, 7, 8 years younger than him. And how that's fucking with him now in a way that it wasn't before.
Sports for me, baseball, absolutely, it adds that pressure whether you think that or not. Because you have players are a little bit older these days. They retire a little bit older, but you have guys 32, washed up, done, and that kind of messes with you. And then you can measure it where you're that hot rookie that showed up and you all collected his baseball cards and he was, your age, is now retired doing, men's boner pill commercials and in Hall of Fame. And you're just look how much time has passed. And it's a thing.
And you start to mark the things you love based on where they are in terms of their progress. Like with Star Wars, it's great because I think it's, it's pretty accurate to say at this point, we'll never see the end of it. It's a weird thing to think about, but we'll never see the final Star Wars movie. We won't live that long. It's gonna be eternal. But there are things that aren't. 2025 is the final, year of John Cena's in-ring career. And it's like, and I was a John Cena kid. I had the shirts, I had the spinner belt buckle, I had the, you know, I used to like beg my mom, beg to let her watch me watch Raw, like just for this guy.
Do you have? Come on, do you have pictures of that? Like an 8-year-old Alden in a spinner belt and a T-shirt doing.
I will look for it. I'm sure I have. It was a actual belt buckle attachment, not a title belt, because my mom was like, "I'm not buying you a full title belt," but it was like probably as big as my hand. And it would attach to any belt. And so help me God, that was like a treasure in my life. And now he's going to retire and go out and things like that. You know, they have you think about time for sure.
Coop says everyone wanted the CM Punk lip ring. That's amazing. That's amazing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. Also, it messes with my brain when Coop and you were kind of saying that in terms of like when we were kids, where I'm like, you mean the guy that showed up when I was in my mid-20s?
Yeah.
All right. Update from Dan. He's got, what are we looking at, Dan?
So this is, I don't want this to like fully melt when I'm frying it. So I'm doing a little extra breading. Went flour,
that's
then
what I was
egg,
going to say.
then flour, then egg. So double layer of that. And now it's in the tortilla chip dust.
Whoa.
I love tortilla chip dust.
Tortilla chip dust is a great Weird Al parody of like Gold Dust Woman or something. I don't know. That's amazing.
Weirdly enough, tortilla chip dust actually gives me like nightmare flashbacks because I did work at a burrito shop for a couple of years, and the owner was like, he's one of these guys that was just like, so I mean, when you're in a restaurant, you really have to focus on the bottom line, right, and the margins. But he was like, at the bottom of these bags of chips, there's all these broken chips. What are we going to do with the chip dust? And he became like obsessed with it. And he's like sprinkling it on salads and doing all this weird stuff and trying to yell at me to enhance the chip dust.
Enhance the chip dust.
The chip dust.
Enhance the chip dust. That's the takeaway from today's episode. The chip dust is your life, and you must enhance it.
That might be our SEO right there. Dan's getting back to some cooking here. Charlie, what's Charlie saying? And then we can go where you want to go, Alden. There. Ken's description of the video reminds me of a segment idea. Alt tag reads with Ken Napzok. Oh, we can do that.
Ken loves alt text. He loves alt text. He's the master of it already.
I've been a little lax in my Blue Sky in the last couple of weeks. You just get so busy. And again, I slightly unplugged this week from the news cycle. So I'll get back to it.
Other things I jotted down in my notes. I don't have any questions to throw your way because I knew we were doing the cooking segment, and that was going to be our focus. I'll do more questions for you, Ken, next week. Yeah. I made 2 notes, though, things I wanted to tell you. One, on another SNL note, my mother, Diane, this week, for the very first time in her life, saw the More Cowbell sketch and thought that it was a new thing.
Like all these up-and-coming cast members?
Like I don't think she recognized anybody, but she sent me, like I started pointing at people. I was like, that's Will Ferrell. And she's like, oh yeah. But she sent it to me and was like, you have to see this. And I was like, yeah, Mom, yeah, more cowbell. And she's like, it's so funny. I was like, are you reacting to this for the first time? She's like, yeah, I've never seen this before. And I was like, are you messing with me? She goes, nope, I've never seen it.
Alden, there's your channel to launch on your own. I know you got Octo Radio. I know you got some other Eyes on Fire, and we got Anytime. But you need to do reactions with Diane and things. Yeah, Mom reacts 15-year-old sketches or memes or something that she's never seen of. Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, I'd be like, Mom, this is Keyboard Cat.
Yeah,
Mom, this is Nyan Cat. This is the sale video. This is Fred.
Now, Mom, the title of the song is What in the Butt. All right, so get ready.
Yeah, yeah. Mom, this is Bo Burnham. He's not this age anymore. He looks like a baby here. And then the other thing I wanted to know this week, I mentioned it a little bit on Blathering that I was going to bring it up. There's something very funny about it that speaks to me, and I think you might think it's funny. The new Marvel game, Marvel Rivals, came out, right?
Yeah.
It is free to play, free to download. Okay. Of course, they will get their money if you want to purchase certain costumes or whatever. But I will say it is absolutely free if you want it to be. They've done well by the consumer. You can earn pretty easily and get things. It has 33 playable characters, some big Marvel characters, some deep cuts, great animated style, very fun, cool voice actors and things, whatever. It's 6v6, different modes. It's a little bit Overwatch, a little bit Fortnite. And I suck at shooters. I always have. It's not my genre. I'm an RPG adventures gamer primarily. So I was expecting to be pretty bad at this, but they do a good job of catering to people like me. There are healer classes. There's Vanguard, which is like more controlling the field. So I'm having a good time. But the interesting thing about the game is this, and I've never seen a game do this. There's a 5-star system to tell the player how difficult a character is to use. I don't know if that happens in Overwatch or Fortnite or anything, but it's like Spider-Man is a 5-star character telling you it's really hard to be good at Spider-Man, which makes a lot of sense because he's so agile. He's all over the place, webs, sticking to walls, swinging, all this stuff. That tracks, right?
Okay.
Doctor Strange, Loki, these are 3-star characters, etc., etc. Now, here's the funny thing. One of the 1-star characters is the Punisher. And at first I was like, that's weird. Like, you know, Frank is like such an intense guy. He's a mature adult character. You would think he'd be harder to use, like all of his weaponry. And then I realized why the Punisher is a 1-star easy whittle baby character in that game. It is because when you are frustrated and you're like, fuck these people, I'm just going to pick up a fucking gun and shoot them. Enough webs, enough Hulk powers, enough magic. Swinging. I'm going to shoot them. That's when they're like, we knew you would get to that point. Just come play as the Punisher. So ironically, like all these whimsical, colorful people are like more challenging and require effort. But then there's still that nice little, this is for the Americans, just grab an assault rifle and do your thing. And it is so funny. And it made me think of you because I was like, I could see Ken in this game just saying, I don't need magic. I don't need superpowers. Give me the rifle.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I'm a close-up fighter on Fortnite. If you give me a sword or a lightsaber or a shotgun, like I'm going up to your face. And there's some nights where I'm sitting down to play Fortnite, and it's a relaxing. We hide over here. We go to the edge of the map. We go triangulate where we're going to end up. And other times I'm like, I just need to go fight. So yeah, and maybe I think that's a good thing. I think we talk often, or through the ages, you know, the negative influence of video games. And sure, I can get behind some of that. It makes sense on paper. I don't blame Metallica for violence. I don't blame Fortnite for violence directly. It's more complicated than that. But I get it overall. Yeah. But maybe that's one of the benefits is instead of getting in my car and going and just running over people or something, I can do it on Fortnite, and then you get it out of your system. We hope.
I firmly
I'm not an expert.
That's true. No, I believe in that because especially in RPGs, you know, my preferred genre of game, especially choice-based ones, you know, your Mass Effect, your Knights of the Old Republic, your Baldur's Gate. Potentially this game that Lauren Romo's shouting out, the new Game of Thrones King's Road. I don't know if you saw this, Ken.
I watched this morning. Our shout out to our buddy Eric Monroe. All right, what's Dan? You're looks like you're putting SEO juice in your.
This is just avocado, and I decided instead of having 2 dips, I'm just gonna pour the pesto into the avocado.
Avocado.
Yeah.
Pesto
guac. Well, the way that I'm generally successful about mashing up recipes is like if you think about what guac is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's avocado.
Goodness.
You may have lime juice.
Mm-hmm.
Probably. You probably have salt. You probably have garlic. If you have those 4 things, you're fine. But then you can add cilantro. So pesto has basil. So if we want an herb in here, we're going to do basil instead of cilantro. Pesto has garlic. So if we want garlic in here, we got the garlic. I made this pesto and I put lemon juice in it. So we got the acidity as well. So we have all the things that we need to make guac taste good. It's just a little sideways, a little different.
A little different approach.
Okay.
And I will always say to people, like a good shortcut, if you're making, say, guacamole, just take a spoonful of salsa and put it into the avocado. You probably have your lime juice. You probably have your herbs and stuff. You're making a shortcut version of
the next level thinker.
Put the lime in the coconut. You said basil. It's a magic word in our house. We have it in full stock here all the time.
Love that.
Love it. That's the update. If you're just joining us here, Dan Whalen, author of many, many cookbooks, including this great 50 tot recipe there, the comfort food mashup. Go to this blog, thefoodinmybeard.com. We're talking about comfort food, which we all need this week. And video games are a bit of comfort. Yeah, we're talking about the Game of Thrones game. I watched the trailer this morning. Eric Monroe, one of our longtime Castly Talk listeners, put the trailer up. And it looks, I'm interested. And is it a phone game or is it like a...
It is. Yeah, it's a
game.
mobile game that looks really expensive for mobile. Like
Yes.
it looked good. It's set during season 4, so it was good to see season 4 John and Jamie in that trailer.
Well, I could tell it's season 4 because of Jamie Lannister's haircut.
Yeah, Jamie's got the fresh little, my sister's mad at me haircut that he gets in that one. When he stopped being Prince Charming. Yeah. So that's gonna be interesting. But yeah, I to your point, like sometimes I will make choices in games that directly go against my moral code because it's like you can in that. Yeah. And I'll give a huge shout out to my friend Reed Devaney, who has his master's in game design and is out there working in the industry now and just doing great things. And he did his thesis on how we interact with like romancing NPCs and everything in the games. And how people live out lives that they might not live, and not even like in a you haven't come to terms with your sexuality, so you're doing it here. He's like, no, I'm talking about people like, and he used me as an example. I took the survey and everything, and he's like, Alden, you're straight. He's like, but your Baldur's Gate character has a girlfriend and a boyfriend. And he's like, and it's not that you think you want a boyfriend. And I'm like, no, it's that it felt right for this character, and that's something that I would never do. So it's like you can
freedom.
Live your life somewhere else and do something else, and it's fascinating stuff.
I agree with that. Lauren Roma says your Fortnite experience depends on who your squad is, as Ken knows. Yes, it's absolutely true.
Is Lauren on the squad?
She'll squad up with our buddy Hal, and they're a little bit more violent. And I love playing violent, but if I'm playing with Plume, it's a little more strategic. And like I said, we literally kind of triangulate where we need to be to kind of angle for a victory, and it's a very successtowards formula. But sometimes
I can see you and Ken Plume like with call signs. Like I see it very serious.
No, but Grace did walk in towards we were doing a session, and you're calling it out. You're like, there's a guy over there to the left, gunfire to the right. Let's move over here. And then I just hear Grace go, "Good job, fellas!" Like in the background. Dan's hiding something. We'll take Dan. Are you okay there? Dan, are you alive? Oh, he's switching his camera angle. Okay, cool, perfect. I'm gonna bring it back up when I get a thumbs up from Dan. For those just joining us here, we got some people jumping on. Dan Whalen is here cooking some comfort food because we need comfort. And we wanted to do some food stuff here.
You want to bring up real quick before just a little the image of them sizzling?
Oh, yeah. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at those mac and cheese triangles.
Look at how the production value of ANYTIME skyrocketed.
Listen to that ASMR sound right there. That's the sound of calories being baked in, and I love it. Eli says, damn. Coop says, delicious triangles. Box Office Jack asks, what does it mean if I always play female characters with female partners? You're doing it right. Sheesh. Wait, not it forever.
I mean,
love it.
In all actuality, to answer Box Office Jack's question, I have also done that. I my last Mass Effect run, I played a what they call femme shep, when you take Commander Shepard and make him a woman, right. Or just do the woman version because he doesn't have a canon gender. And I had a girlfriend in that. I was a total bitch. I was just I love the hardest woman in the galaxy.
On Red Dead 2 Online, my character, I've designed a sassy, violent redhead character. You know, I have a type, and I like it. I also like. I don't do it all the time in Fortnite. A lot of times I play with Wingman, but I love playing as Lady Gaga or Padme or Leia or Zori Bliss because there's some dudes getting extra angry that Lady Gaga just cut them in half. And I just love that.
That makes me happy. Yeah. I specifically like Rey and like if they have I don't think they did anything for Acolyte, but it's like, yeah, if you can get a modern Star Wars woman in too, because they love to retroactively act like they loved Padme, which they did not.
Right. Yeah.
They love to be like,
you can play as Rey. You can play as Rey.
George movies. Also, can we note? I cannot believe I forgot to bring this up, Ken. You asked me about my birthday. You know what I got for my birthday?
What's that?
So on my birthday, my uncles John Favreau and Dave Filoni revealed that Jeremy Allen White from The Bear is going to be playing Rada the motherfucking Hutt in The Mandalorian and Grogu, which is very funny. But I'm dead ass serious when I say that this is catered to me. I have put Rada in every idea I've had about this 30-year gap between the sequels.
This is the Dave Filoni long game happening.
Like this, it is. We are literally at the end game. Like, oh my goodness.
All right, hold on. I'm going solo layout here. There we go. Dan Whalen has cooked up. What are we calling this, Dan? What's the title?
I mean, the anytime. I feel like it has to be something about possibly having a heart attack after you eat it.
The anytime heart attack appetizers. Yeah.
Call them the cardiac event.
We're gonna we'll do a reveal. I want to get my thoughts on Rada. Yeah, I'm with you. I just that morning had done a Force Center Vertical Live about Rada. Someone had asked me about it, and it was like, yeah, he's a silly character from a movie that's often looked down on. That's, I think, retroactively, I think you should consider it better than we thought it was at the time. It's still got its things, but Rada's the last scion of Jabba the Hutt's empire. He'd have opinions on what happened, good or bad.
And it's like, look, people love to come at, especially the Mandalorian type shows of like, in the fan service, and they just want to remind you of other stuff. It makes. I said this on Blue Sky, and I was hoping it would piss some people off, but Blue Sky's too nice for that. You cannot tell me with a straight face that it is out of nowhere when Book of Boba Fett, they literally have a battle in the streets over Rada's birthright.
Right.
Because that's what it is. The twins come in, who we assume are his cousins because they say Jabba's their uncle. So those are Rada's cousins coming in. And Boba's there. And it's like, really, neither side of that conflict should be it. And so it's like, this is a natural, like, you can't be like, oh, it's so awesome that Krennic is in Andor season 2 because you like feeling like an adult. And then tell me that Rada is somehow this out of nowhere. It's very funny that it's a handsome, sexy future Bruce Springsteen playing him.
Yeah. I agree that should raise eyebrows. I think I'm literally I'm literally quoting my Force Center Star Wars ranking script that I just recorded before the show. So not to spoil anything for tomorrow's episode that drops. But yeah, I understand of going, what? Like, I understand that. But I argue, as I what will come out in my video tomorrow, I argue he's the perfect choice for this rise of a gangster or a redemption arc for a son of a gangster. We'll see. But I really love that Rada's around.
Yeah, I'm very excited for it. I would love it to be a giant practical Rada. I know it probably won't be, but like,
yeah.
I can imagine the voice that he's probably going to do. But
that's the thing. All right, so here we go. I'm going to do single layout again. This is what Dan has been cooking the entire show, like magic. He got it all done in an amount of time. Oh God, I am so hungry too. I am so hungry. For those listening on the podcast, Dan has dipped his macaroni. Mozzarella. I'm going to let him describe it. That is into pesto guacamole. Steve suggests we call this anytime angles. That could work. Add some description in there. Take us through again. Yeah, 898 for him. So my stomach is grumbling. Take us through again of what it is, what's in it, and maybe on your blog you could post how to make it.
I know I was thinking if I would post this next week or something, but yeah, so I did a simple, what I consider like a trashy stovetop mac and cheese. You're going to do, do I still have that here? Anyways, a can of condensed milk with a little cornstarch, cook it, it thickens up. You add the pasta to it, a little of the pasta cooking water and a lot of cheese. It forms a mac and cheese so easily. I poured that into a pan like this.
Oh, yeah.
Be eating leftover mac and cheese all weekend.
This is so hot.
let it sit overnight, and you can cut it out into these triangles. And then I just breaded it and fried it. So then I dipped it in flour first, then egg, and then flour and egg again, so the coating would be thick. And then the key to this, which made it special, was the tortilla chip crust, which you might be forgetting. So,
oh man,
it's inspired by several of Ken and Alden's favorite foods. And
this is amazing.
This is what it is.
Proof that when you combine our interests, you get unholy, artery clogging joy.
See, oh man, see, this is. I tell you, oh god. For those on the audio, for those listening on the audio version, go to the YouTube channel about 109:56 seconds and just watch. Stop the podcast and go to Dan pulling apart the mac and cheese triangle. Man, that looked like a scene from 9.5 Weeks. That's a reference, Alden. It's beautiful. This is wonderful. And Dan, I don't want to. We should do this off air, but I think we got a pitch for the Food Network of you sit down with a guest and you ask them these 5 key questions, and then you make something inspired by it, have a conversation. Boom, you got Go Picture, kid.
Yeah, I was almost thinking of like when I did that, I'm like, it's becoming Chopped now. I'm like,
it's an artistic Chopped. It's a slow paced, not as rushed. I do love Chopped. Chopped was a staple of my life for about 5-6 years. I watched it a lot. But yeah, it's a conversation because I've at GPA, Good People Association. The only reason I really signed on to work with my friends there was like I want to do a grilled cheese show where we cook grilled cheese and talk about it. I had that show, Hot Sizzler Nights. I'll take you to Sizzler. You pick out food at the buffet and let's talk about it. I think you got a lot there. It was amazing to watch.
Do Dan? Those memes of like Anthony Bourdain where they like make up an Anthony Bourdain quote that it'll be like, "Go here, do this, ask for this." Like your version would be like, "Find Dan, follow him on Instagram, let him ask you the questions, email him, watch him, listen." Like it's like, oh man, so satisfying.
We love diving into the deep. We love playing with the silly and food. Alden and I have talked about it. It's no secret. Like anytime food is mentioned on any podcast anywhere. This is why a lot of podcasts do the 34, March Madness burger competition. It works. You mentioned pineapple on pizza, wars start on either side of it. I'm pro, some people are con. Dan, it's primal, right? We're all connected to food, and comfort food is the best and worst of us all at once. That's why these passions are incited by food, yeah?
Yeah, and it is fun to see, like, people might consider the stuff I do to be rage bait because I'm putting together things that maybe, like, people might be purists about, right?
Tot purists.
Right.
Cheeseburger tot sliders, burn this guy.
To me, I'm making them because I'm curious and I want to see how it tastes, right? But people get mad and they're like, "You're just posting this for a reaction." I'm like, "Yeah, sure. Just keep commenting that, and this is gonna keep pushing it out on the algorithm."
Yeah.
There's a woman fighting for her life right now in one of my posts about avocado.
For her life against other commenters.
Well, I feel like there's this new thing. I mean, it's not that new, but like more and more, I'm seeing people being so loud and wrong, and like they will not give it up. They will not give it up. So
you could have just that is a package quote right there. More and more, I'm seeing people just be loud and wrong.
So I made a Christmas tree, like a deviled egg that looks like a Christmas tree. It's a hit this time of year. It's Pinterest type like killer, and it's doing well on my Instagram right now. And I said in the thing, I use spinach to make the things green because if you used avocado in the deviled egg mixture, it would be a little more like pukey green, yellow. It wouldn't give you that like bright Christmas tree green. So this woman said, "I eat avocados every day and they're that exact color." And people are like, "Well, yes, the avocado might be that color, but when you mix it with the egg yolks and mayo is what he's talking about. Plus it might turn brown. So it's not." Right. And I even mentioned you could use avocado in the video. I just don't like the shade of color. One by one, she's replying to every person who is saying like, they're like, "You're arguing against something that he didn't even say. You're just kind of," and she's like, "Avocado's that color. I don't care when you're mixing with egg yolks." I'm like, "This is a deviled egg video, ma'am."
Man, that's one of my favorite moments from As Good as It Gets is the, okay, I'll tell your waiter. And I love using that sometimes in live for comments. But what this goes to show is, Alden, we sometimes spend a lot of time going, man, Star Wars fandom, oh, it's tough out there. Oh, Game of Thrones fandom, or political talk and fandom. It's everywhere. You can't even post about avocados, deviled eggs without this kind of thing popping up.
No, it's bad. It's God, that's so funny. It's so funny to me that this is the hill that she's choosing to die on.
Yeah.
About the color. Clearly, this woman missed the day in kindergarten where like you mix paints. Every child should mix their paint until it turns brown.
Color wheel.
That's a lesson in life. Like okay, that doesn't work. Let's move over here.
Ken Plume suggested we call this Anytime Mac and Cheese. That's not bad at all. Update: Charlie Ashby's pizza has arrived. Like, how does that work over there in the UK? How does that work, Alden?
You poke your head out.
You've got your hot pie here.
You poke your head out of the window like Michael Caine and say, "You there, lad? What day is
you
it?
there, lad? Draw some
day."
pizza. You want some drizzly stick sauce on it or something there?
You throw all your shillings onto the ground. Go fetch me a pizza, lad.
Charlie's going to come to America and run us over with a car that drives on the wrong side of the road.
You know, one time I was in Burma and they made pizza there. And a pizza the size of a tangerine.
I imagine every pizza in the UK has fennel on it.
Fennel, yeah, that sounds about right. Charlie, fennel, tell us your toppings. I really quick want to go over to our Blue Sky because I did ask for questions and there is a food one, so I'm going to field it today.
Oh, okay, yeah, maybe Dan can help us answer this.
We this is lends itself to the episode, of course. 8984M asked about what your favorite holiday snacks are, because yes, what you just made should absolutely be at every holiday, but in terms of the ones that are like classically holiday, where are you going, and do you put a little Dan spin on it?
Where do you go, Dan?
I would say I like to see a classic pig in a blanket at a holiday event. And I've made them a pig in a scallion pancake blanket. That's my one twist I've done on that before. The deviled eggs should be there.
I see Charlie's comment. I see the
I just started laughing at Charlie's comment too.
We'll put a pin in that. Pigs in a blanket. And we talked about this in the show before. Like that's a breakfast food to me, right? But you take it more to the evenings.
Well, I feel like that was what we were eating. Like it was one year, like I graduated college and you think you're being sophisticated. You're having a little cocktail party and you buy that Pillsbury dough and you cut out the little triangles and roll them around the little mini hot dogs. But I learned that speaking of British people, there is a dish called toad in a hole, which is
of course there is
somewhat similar with hot dogs in like a pudding maybe type of batter.
Oh, we love the toad in the hole.
Some kind of squiggly pudding there. Put our toads in the hole.
Sometimes you got to grab your toad and you got to shove it into a hole. And then
Charlie Ashby says, I love watching you guys sincerely speak about how good people can be, how we should strive towards better before delving into the most inane Dick Van Dyke hate speech.
Happy birthday, Dick Van Dyke, 99. 99.
And it's great sausage and a Yorkshire pudding. I love it. I can't wait. I can't wait till I get back to the UK. I can't wait to get back. And I'm going to have Maddie Gunner and Charlie take us around all the pubs.
Maddie said, well, you watch your tongues before you motto, no. All right.
I only learned about
your tongues here before you know what I mean, then?
Because I made like a focaccia and I laid hot dogs into the focaccia. And then I cut them so that the focaccia basically became like a hot dog bun.
Oh, yeah.
And
look at you.
The Brits came in hot saying, oh, this is just toad in a hole. You Americanized it.
You stole our country. You stole our cricket, turned it into baseball. You stole rounders, and you stole this. You stole toads in a hole. I'm going to look that up.
This is incredible.
This has been a lot of fun. We're starting to wrap here. You know, I'll tell you why I'm starting to look. I'm so hungry right now.
Yeah.
It's insane.
I'm surprised that you have not already set yourself up. Like, text Grace, like, Uber, Eats, ask Toad in a Hole. See if they have.
Here's what's also gone on my way. Like, I've had one of those financially stressed lives, but months. And I'm today I'm slightly okay, which is dangerous because I'm thinking of maybe I should just get off air here and go to Don Cuco's and just get enchiladas and guac and chips. I can't and I won't. But yeah, I'm in that. I'm not just gonna go microwave mac and cheese that I got from Trader Joe's. Because of Dan, I'm thinking, well, I do have those chicken apple sausages. Could I slice them up, put them in the mac and cheese? Could I mix it? Now, Dan, you've got me thinking weird science in the kitchen.
Love it. Love it.
He's inspiring you to want more for yourself.
Yes, this is the lesson. This is the lesson, Alden, for you and your birthday week. Want more. Want more out of what's in your fridge and your heart, and you'll be all right.
Get silly with it. That is the ultimate theme.
I guess we have to answer our own question here, Alden, too, though, as we start to wrap up. Favorite holiday? What's the actual question? So I can get it right in my head.
A9 for him asked holiday foods. Like, and I'm assuming because holiday foods as a category, like a lot of people would say, oh, I prepare my ham. And like, we've done that before. That's not something I'm focused on, really. I'm
trying to think like, for me,
I like desserts.
Yeah, I go to desserts or like if Christmas food is obviously different than Thanksgiving food. So it's like Christmas food, like slice of ham with applesauce on it. I don't know, which I do like, but I don't. Oh, excuse me, I'm getting so hungry. I'm getting hiccups. Or the hot spits because I'm thinking about all the things I might try to make in the kitchen that aren't a good idea. Holiday food, I don't know. I think it's chocolates. Little chocolates and trinkets, like I'm a little British kid, and the Ice Queen's giving me Turkish delight. Like I like that stuff.
A little Reese's.
Peanut
butter cup that's shaped like a Christmas tree or egg.
You have dessert stuff too, Dan, right? You're not just. I
don't do a ton of dessert recipes, but I do like to. And I worked at a gelato shop for like 2 years. So I got a little pastry sort of chops doing that.
There's gelato a great gelato in Edmonds, Washington, outside of Seattle. Lauren Romo, are you still in chat? Romo, roll call, or Laserbolt still in chat at least. So if you go to Dan's blog, thefoodinmybeard.com, click on latest recipes. A French onion Detroit style pizza. Dan, what the hell is this?
Just what is it? Actually, I had the idea of making a French onion pizza. So I did a little poll in my Instagram story, similarly to our triangles versus planks poll today. Asked what type of pizza. And it was a heavily... It was a heavily replied poll, and Detroit style won out by like literally 3 votes or something.
That
was the first time I ever made a Detroit style pizza, and it was unfortunately much easier than I had expected because now I want to just make it for every meal. And
here it is.
If you make it right, it's really like it's dripping with grease, kind of.
Fantastic. This Detroit-style fluffy pizza crust with crispy edges is topped with a layer of deeply caramelized French onion and tons of cheese. The flavors are so good together. The soft and fluffy bread has the perfect vehicle for the savory sweet onions and the creamy cheese on top.
You do have to write a sort of like a strange copy like that as the first sentence for SEO purposes. But Laserbolt is saying that the sauce needs to be on top, and I was worried because the onions are so caramelized that I was worried about putting them on top. I thought they might burn. I guess maybe people do it after it cooks a little bit, but the reason is I'm thinking of a French onion soup, right? So you have the onions, and then you have the cheese on top, but you have to break in. So to me, I was like, the onion should be underneath.
Love this. Hey, look, you're already inspiring. Look, Laserbolt's like, hold on, big city 2000, blasphemy. I'm sorry, I'm to Detroit, but then Romo's all in on it. This is your mentions on this are going to go through the roof. I love it.
People are inspired. They're feeling it.
They are indeed.
I did want to give a shout out to Eli bringing up latkes. Underrated. I mean, maybe not by the Jewish community. I'm sure it's perfectly rated, but like by the rest of us, underrated.
But you, as the vice president of the Jewish League at your high school, right? You're qualified to speak.
Jewish student. So we were the Jewish Student Union, and then I think probably some of the Florida conservatives got scared of that, so it got rebranded into the Jewish Student Connection. I shit you not. From one year to the next, they were like, "By the way, we're a connection now." I was like, "You guys are full of shit." I was like, "You guys got afraid of the word union? We're 17." Like, so it was so funny.
That's
yeah,
like the great WWF tag team of Tom Zank and Rick Martel, the Can-Am Connection. That's what it is right there.
Exactly. Connection was a huge, like, any cool tag team, they were connecting.
East Coast Connection. Yeah. Anyways.
Maddie wants to make Lucky nachos.
Oh, carbonara.
Maddie Gunner says he's watching your carbonara.
The carbonara Benny, yeah. It's some might say over the top. Some might say too much egg going on.
I feel a lot of what you've been talking about in cooking, even today, Dan, is how far to the edge can you push it without going over like a firefall in Yosemite?
That's specifically what I try to do. I try to, because there's a lot of food accounts that will be like that classic SNL skit, right? I made it, put a taco in a pizza, whatever.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And I try to be like in between that and like regular cooking. I want people to be like, I could actually make this at home and I could eat it and not feel like I have to like sit on the couch for the rest of the day or work out the whole day.
Right. It's a burrito wrapped in a halibut, dipped in salsa. I get it. Charlie Ashby says Jewish Student Connection is my favorite 70s folk rock band.
And we were great. Let me tell you.
Pretty funny.
And we were great.
I think it's time to start wrapping up. But Dan, thank you very much for doing this. This is a fun,
really fun
experimental version. Please update the mac and cheese that you got to eat there and what you do with the leftover mac and cheese. And as we have said before, I'm holding it up. I feel like a morning show host, because I am. Tots. This is one of many books Dan has put out. This is the Comfort Food Mashup. Highly recommend this one. They're fun just to look through. I like a lot of pictures, vibrant pictures. And then go to thefoodinmybeard.com. That is Dan Whalen's food blog that's been in action since 2008, as we learned today. Creative comfort food, twists, and mashups. You'll have some hot opinions, no doubt. Dan, thank you very much for coming in today, man.
Hey, thank you, guys.
All right. We'll start taking it out here as Dan takes a sexy bite. Alden, happy belated birthday, buddy.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. It feels good. And then don't forget, next year, I still fully intend on being physically with you, and we are going to do a double, because we both have huge birthdays next year. And
we
so
do.
I still want to do Ken and Alden 3050 as some kind of special.
30. Well, no, hold on. Hold the goddamn phone. That's 2 years away.
I thought it was next year.
I turned 49 in April.
Oh, well, it's fucked now, Ken. It's ruined. Why couldn't you turn 50?
It's a big birthday, but no, I turned 49. Don't you dare.
What we'll do is,
dare.
I hit 30 and then you hit it. So that's when we'll do it.
Okay,
we'll do it.
That's what we'll do. We'll do the crossover.
And we'll go see Mando and Grogu.
Can't wait. The story of Out of the Hut. Love it. Love it.
Do you have to go right this second, or do you want to knock out these last Blue Sky questions, or do you want to punt them
knock it. If you got a couple, you got a couple. Let's do it.
We got a few here that should be relatively quick. Dr. Addy, the doc, has a question here about another nerd thing, about Lord of the Rings, and wants to know if we think that Peter Jackson has ever been tempted to George Lucas the trilogy, do special editions, or do we think he should? Is that something that you'd be interested in? If they were like, hey, we redid all these effects, or put in they've already put in, you can already watch the cut material. That's of course a lot of people's preferred version, but how do you feel about more special editioning?
He's done, there's so many different versions out there, right? Depending on what you have, the director's cuts, the long cuts, extended cuts, 4K, and coming back. So it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibilities. I think there's an aura of him having moved past it slightly, but then War of the Rohirrim's coming out. It's in his same universe, some of the same people involved, which can't wait to see that film. So I'd follow down that path because it's slightly different to me. It's not a Snyder cut, none of that bull roar. It is more the Lucas thing, and I get a lot of the grinding your teeth over some of Lucas's changes, but I still come down on the side of an artist. I wish you could change things all the time. I mentioned, Star Wars, why we love Star Wars. Like I'd go back and rewrite it today if they paid me because I was unhappy with it the moment I finished it. And that's not just about a miserable artist. That's just like, yeah, it's constantly a changing process. So I'd be curious to see, but I don't think he needs to. And I think correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not saying this in like a negative way. He's not as he'd rather do something about World War I or the Beatles right now.
Yeah, he's in Beatles mode. I mean, one of the funniest things to come out of the pandemic was that Get Back was supposed to be a feature, and then they left Peter alone too long with the footage, and he was like, "Yeah, I restored about 18 hours, so I got a mini series now." Like he's very like hyper focused on his things, and seems like a sweetheart of a man. And if whatever he did, I'd follow him. I know there was like the briefest little discussion of him being involved in Rings of Power, and then the story of the official story is there was never any follow up, and it's like, okay, I'm sure that's exactly what it was.
Yeah,
I'm sure you just never wrote back, and it wasn't a dispute. But I mean, I love Peter. I trust him, and I'm with you. George said films aren't finished; they're abandoned. That's one of his iconic Georgisms, and I believe that. And so much so, I'll do you one better, Dr. Addy. Not only that, Force Awakens is coming out 10 years next year. He will never do it because he's not a deleted scenes guy. But I would love it if it was Force Awakens about 10 minutes longer. Put in Han noticing Finn's boots and put in Maz using the Force. Put in Kylo in the cockpit, which is an amazing deleted scene.
Han in the dice, right?
Han in the dice, which famously, Ryan sees the dailies, makes more of a note of the dice. Then they cut it, and then Lord and Miller were already like, "Hey, the dice are going to be a motif. We'll do it too." And then it became lopsided. Like I would special edition every sequel, especially Rise, because that stuff is not only cut; it's just not even watchable.
Eye of Webbish Bog. Let's do it.
Eye of Webbish Bog. Yeah. Another question here. Tully asks, for the DJ in your hearts, what is the best modern day contemporary protest song? Which is interesting because they're not as frequent, certainly, as they were.
Go it's older. So I'm trying to no. Google did the wrong thing. There we go. Sorry. You ever type something in? It's like, oh, I know what you meant. It's already 20 years old. It's not modern. I was my favorite Mutiny by the Coup, which was used as the Winning Time theme song, which opened. I was like, oh, this is a great song. Oh, this is more than just a theme. This is pretty powerful. I'm trying to think of modern. I mean, look, what's the protest? Is it overtly? Is it Rage Against the Machine directness? Is it Lennon and Ono going right at power to people? What kind of protest is it, or is it about something?
Broader concepts versus
broader
singular
concept.
events.
Ryan Bingham, who's a great country rock artist, he's also on one of those Taylor Sheridan shows that I don't watch. He's got a song about wolves, keeping the wolves at bay, which is rather political. I have to give that answer because it's not as clear. Because a lot of times too, look, Marvin Gaye's "What's Going On" is a protest song from 1971, and you kind of of course, everyone was singing about the Vietnam War. Marvin Gaye making the decision to do "What's Going On," a song that revolves around his brother being in Vietnam and asking this question and getting to some pretty powerful concepts, was groundbreaking and almost cost him his career in some ways. You can find more about that in the doc about 1971 on Apple TV. So it's like you have to look for what's that now. I'm not going to say easier to do a protest song, but 71 that's one of the reasons it's one of the most important years in rock music. You had Marvin Gaye going, I'm going to sing about Vietnam. You had George Harrison go, oh, I'm a rock star. Bangladesh needs help. Let's do that. That kind of stuff kind of springs forward. There was stuff before it, to be clear.
Of course.
Neil Young, Four Dead in Ohio, all that kind of stuff too.
Elvis, I Can Dream.
But I think that a lot of it comes from that. So great question. I don't have the answer immediately.
It is that distinction of like, is it a singular event response or is it a cultural moment response? And I think like singular events, as recent as I could think, is Macklemore's Heinz Hall, which was released outside of the label and straight up in support of Palestine and speaking out about the genocide. And it's a little bit dated now because it references Biden as the candidate. which he was not the candidate
yeah.
in the end.
Yeah.
But that was fantastic. I would say overall climate ones.
Right.
Kendrick Lamar's All Right, and Childish Gambino's This Is America.
Yeah. It's a great.
This Is America is huge. Dropping it out of nowhere, going on SNL and doing it, and having the gun and police imagery in it and all that stuff. And I mean, he's Donald Glover's one of those he does it all type artists, and then he delivers whenever time he comes around.
Yeah.
Good answers here in the chat from Maddie Gunner. Maddie, is this song, do you say it third or do you say it three? By Straight from the Path. If Rage Against the Machine was a hardcore band, Coop with Mea Culpa by Gojira. Look, Gojira is hilarious. The fact that Gojira has had an uptick in popularity makes me happy. Oh, you pronounce it three. Would Not Like Us count? No, Not Like Us. I don't think Not Like Us is protesting against anyone but Drake. That's more of just like a hater song. But yeah.
Haters.
Let me see the last question. Tully has a question about 2025. I'll punt that because it'll probably be a bigger conversation. And
Sports reference.
Let's see. Punt indeed. Jared threw some rapid fire ones. Ken, have you started DS9 yet?
No, never.
No, he has not. Ken, which soup is the best? Never. Which soup is the best?
A broccoli cheddar, but I'm partial to a good old fashioned chicken noodle soup, or as I called it as a kid, chicken noodle soup.
I like a tomato soup with a grilled cheese that I could dip in it. That's the best.
Or the Wood Ranch tri-tip soup. Old tri-tip soup. It's great for dipping bread in.
Jared asked flour or dabs, but Ken doesn't indulge in the devil's lettuce, so I will just say I'll take what I can get, buddy.
What's the question? I didn't hear the whole. What is it?
Flour or dabs? Just like it's a weed thing.
Yeah. No.
Ken doesn't smoke pot, but I mean, like I'll smoke, I'll vape, whatever. And then the best helmet in Star Wars is going to be our final question.
Best helmet? The Death Star Gunners.
Wow, that's a really good answer. And you, I could tell you've held that true in your heart for a long time because
since
it flew out.
1983. Yeah,
it's not actually not what I expected you to say. I thought you were going to say Scout Trooper.
Oh, Biker Scout's great, but yeah, no, that Death Star Gunner, man, because it's shaped like your Spy versus Spy in Mad Magazine. It's great.
Yeah, I would say probably some iteration of the Mandalorian, whether that's Din Djarin's or Sabine Wren's or Bo-Katan Kryze. I think that's ironically, I like a lot of Mandalorian's aesthetics more than I like Boba Fett's, the one that birthed them all. But yeah. Great. So all right, everybody, what an episode. We're all hungry now. Ken's gonna be at Smokehouse in like 45 minutes. I know it.
Yeah, because I think that lunch menu has that burger I want to try. It's not on the dinner menu where they take the garlic cheese toast bread and put a burger in the middle of it.
Well, see, you already decided.
Man,
he's gonna go put on his Converse and his blazer and be like, Grace, we're hitting the town.
Let's do it. Put on a fancy beanie. We're out of here. Good stuff. Hey, thanks for those who listen to us on the podcast version. Appreciate that. That's on the Knapsack Network now. It was on its own feed for a while, and you can find that feed. So don't get confused. Go to the Knapsack Network, and we'll be back looking at the calendar, Alden, next week. Christmas, little pre-Christmas episode, right?
Indeed.
All right, and then the next one will be post-Boxing Day. And I can't wait for that one. Get ready, Charlie. Get ready. We'll see you next time here in Anytime with Ken and Alden.
Bye.